All right. LaShawna Samuel is a child support program coordinator for the Family Support Division in St. Louis, Missouri, and has been with the state since 2015. She currently manages child support, young adult grants, fatherhood programs, and employment assistant programs with several agencies throughout the state. She manages programs such as Good Dads, Community Partnership of Southeast Missouri Empowering Dads to Gain Employment program, Urban League Transition for Change Employment program, Franklin Apprenticeship, Haven House, and Catholic Legal Assistant Ministries. All right, LaShawna, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is LaShawna Williams Samuel, and I am a child support program coordinator for the Missouri Child Support Outreach Unit. And today I will be discussing with you child support for kinship caregivers and the different enforcement remedies that we have available to us if you decide to open a child support case against the children of the parents you are caring for. The purpose of this presentation is to ensure that kinship caregivers understand when they open a child support case what options they have available to them, but they also have options if they decide not to open a child support case. Of course, this presentation does not cover all circumstances and is not meant to be legal advice. And the child support program definitely acts in the best interest of the children or the child on the case and not either party on the case, such as the kinship caregiver or the mother or the father. Today's topics will discuss information specific for kinship caregivers, enforcement remedies that we have to enforce on a child support court order, and additional services that the Family Support Division may have. So, information specific for kinship caregivers is that you do have the option to open a child support case for children you are caring for. And you also have the option of not opening a child support case. In the event that a child is not, however, in your custody, but you are still providing kinship caregiver services, then we will have to open a case. However, that case and the money that is collected on that case will have to go back to the state of Missouri. If there is a child support order in place, when we do get that order, both the kinship caregiver's income as well as the parent's income of those children will be used to determine what that court-ordered amount is. Some general information about the Missouri Child Support Program is that we are tasked with locating parents, establishing legal fatherhood, also known as fraternity, establishing and enforcing child support orders, and establishing and enforcing medical support orders. In the event a case is open, both a child support order for a monetary amount can be established as well as a medical support order, or it can be one or the other. It does not have to be both. The child support program provides services to mothers, fathers, kinship caregivers, adult children, alleged fathers, and any legal representative of a deceased custodial party. There are a few different ways you may open a child support case if you choose to go that route. We have offices all across the state of Missouri, about 21 of them. However, I am located here in St. Louis, and in St. Louis, we do have 4 child support offices that you may walk into. However, I know that we are all spread out across the state, and I am sure that there is an office pretty, hopefully, close to everybody here on the call. And you can also go online and fill out the application there, or you may call in to our 866 number and complete an application over the phone. Mandatory referrals to the child support program include anyone who is receiving Medicaid, any child who's receiving Medicaid, who's receiving cash assistance or TANF, excuse me, or cases where the child or the children are cared for by the foster care system. So we ask, what is child support? Child support is a court-order obligation to help care for the child or the children, which could include a cash amount that is ordered to be paid, or a health care coverage that is, or a medical support that is supposed to be paid by or provided by the persons who are ordered to provide, And then any provisions of arrearages or money that is past due. Child support may be ordered on a monthly, semi-monthly, bi-weekly, or weekly basis. And about 80% of our support that we receive is through an income withholding order. So if that parent or those parents who are ordered to provide support have an employer, then an income withholding order will be sent or can be sent to their employer to withhold funds from their paycheck on whenever they get paid, but not to exceed more than 50% of their income, their take-home pay. In kinship caregiver cases, most often arrears are due on the case and current support is no longer accruing. So they are not constantly accruing a monthly amount that they must pay. That balance isn't going up. With every payment, that balance is going down. If a person is ordered to pay support, then the Family Support Division can adjust that income withholding order to reflect what they can afford to pay, what their budget will allow. So even if they're not employed, they can always send in those payments, and they have ways that they can send in payments. We have several different ways. We have actually Google Pay, Apple Pay. We have direct, where it can be withdrawn direct deposit out of their account, or they can go into any CVS, Walmart, Ace Cash Express, and they can make cash payments that way as well. So you ask, what are some enforcement remedies if I do decide to open a child support case and the parents on the case choose not to pay? What are some actions that Family Support Division, the Child Support Program, can take on my behalf? Keep in mind, all actions that we take are not ever meant to harm the person, but really merely just to encourage payment. Neither party on the case has the right to say, I'd like this action to be taken or I'd like that action to be taken. There is criteria that must be met, and oftentimes we also have automatic remedies that will just automatically take place, such as a tax intercept that will be put on the list for a tax intercept if their case reaches $500 or more. That's not something that us as caseworkers or we as the Family Support Division have to do. That is something that is automatic. But some enforcement measures that we have that can be taken, I already spoke about income withholding orders, but we can intercept lottery winnings. That does not include casino winnings. That is just through the lottery. So I decide I want to buy a ticket at the gas station and I win $1,000, and there's $1,000 in arrears that are due on the case. Then the child support program can withhold or intercept those funds. We can report on their credit report. Court actions can be taken. That is one of the last actions that we choose to take on any case, as we would like to utilize other enforcement remedies that are available to us. And the person receiving support will also have to participate in those court actions as well. As I mentioned earlier, tax intercepts. However, bear in mind, if the person who is ordered or the persons who are ordered to pay support don't file their taxes, then money will not be received via that method either. We do have the option of suspending driver's licenses. However, over the last couple years, that is not an enforcement remedy we have been using. However, we can still utilize fishing or hunting licenses. We may place liens on bank accounts that are solely owned by the persons who are ordered to pay support. And we may also take their passport away. So thinking about a trip to Jamaica or out of the country, think again, because we may also take their passport as well. So these are all enforcement remedies that are available, and feel free to ask questions if you have any questions during the presentation. So we have those enforcement remedies, and hopefully we've been able to secure payment or encourage payment on the case. There are several different ways that a kinship caregiver can receive payments. Most common is direct deposit. Next is through a prepaid debit card. It is a Visa card, and via paper check if the other two options are not feasible. You can complete a direct deposit application here at mo.smartchildsupport.com, and you can complete this application and it will be sent to us and you will receive direct deposit payments that way. However, if you do not have computer access or are just not computer savvy, you may also print off an application through our website online and mail that back into Jefferson City or walk it into an office and we can scan it to Jefferson City. We also have the SMI1 prepaid debit card, and it works, or prepaid card, and it's just like any debit or credit card. You can upload it into your mobile wallet. You can tap to pay. You can check your balance at any time. I believe you can even receive text message alerts of low balance or when a payment's been made, or check your balance at any time. It is secured through the FDIC. And if neither the direct deposit, if you don't have a bank account, or you just choose not to use that SMI1 card, then you may receive your payments via paper check in the mail. So, as you know, Family Support Division has several programs under its umbrella of services that it provides, and child support is one of them. However, if in the event you need access to other services, then the Family Support Division offers rehabilitative services for the blind, cash assistance, also known as TANF, temporary assistance for needy families, child care assistance, employment and training, not only for the kinship caregiver, but for the parents who may be ordered to pay. And if there are older children that you're caring for, you can get employment and training assistance for them as well through our programs. Utility assistance, which does include energy assistance as well as water assistance. Water assistance is one of our newest programs. Food assistance through SNAP. Health care, which is not just limited to Medicaid, but if you don't qualify for Medicaid, then we do have other health care options that are available. Keeping Kids Safe program, as well as older youth programs that focus on living independently and life skills. And to find out more information about those programs, you may visit dss.mo.gov to learn more or to even apply for those programs, or you may dial the number here. So there are options outside of just receiving child support through the Family Support Division line of programming. So thankfully enough, we have partnered with ParentLink to provide information about the child support program and the services that we provide. And there's several ways you may access us through ParentLink. And one of those ways is through, of course, these presentations that we offer on a quarterly basis. You may also contact ParentLink through the Kinship Navigator line, through the Kin for Kid line. We also are at the support group meetings, which the support group meetings, we do have a presentation. And then if you have direct follow-up questions about maybe a case or opening a case, we can get into a confidential setting where we can answer questions that way. But you may also contact us at our regular child support line at our 866 number, 313-9960. Any questions?
Well, Shauna, I have a question. What is one of the challenges that you've kind of faced in this work that maybe you weren't expecting when you began?
Some challenges, that every case is different. We have guidelines and policies and procedures and statutes that we must follow at the federal level as well as at the state level. However, there is gray area, and we are dealing with people and their lives and their livelihoods to a certain degree. So always keeping in mind that these are people that you're dealing with and not just names and numbers, but real people that, you know, you may live next door to or across the street from. Their lives and the decisions that you make on a daily basis can impact their life in major ways. And not just for the families who are receiving support, but for the individuals who are providing support as well.
I have to say that when I started this job, I had expectations, and I was really pleasantly surprised. I was expecting a lot of bureaucrats as I, interface with state agencies, and I meet colleagues like yourself who are really people focused and really interested in what happens with individuals and care about people as people. And it's been such a pleasant surprise and experience, and it really opened my eyes to the way things really work versus the way I thought things might work. Do you find that when people call in or contact you that they have you almost have to re-educate people like you would have me?
All the time. I mean, because there's so many myths, right, out there about child support and who we are and what we do. And I mean, in all honesty, some of that is true, but some of it is, centered around, okay, how can I impact this person on this call that I'm talking to? How can I impact their life for the better and get them what they need, whether it's, they just need a status on what's going on, just so they kind of have some idea of, okay, I have 2 more weeks, or I have a couple more days, or just give it a little bit more time and something will happen. I think, making sure that you're the best that you can be in each encounter and you're being honest with people. That's some of the most important things, being honest and telling them what you can do and maybe what you can't do sometimes. So yeah, re-education is always important, in the fact that, somebody else's situation may not be the next person's situation and the next person's situation.
Well, it seems like that authenticity would really help build relationships too.
Sure, sure. And it's almost kind of like you are their counselor at times. They want somebody to vent to, they want somebody to talk to, and you have to be ready for that. You have to be prepared for that. So we ready ourselves for the task every day.
LaShawna, I have a quick question. Because kinship families, it's family. Maybe the parents are not able to make it financially, and so temporarily a kinship family has taken on this grandchild. Is there a way, and maybe the grandparents need extra support, but don't want to upset the family that now the state is coming after them for money to pay? Have you had that issue come up? And what are some things that the grandparents who are taking care of the children can do without kind of muddying those waters with the parents? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So in the event that a cash or a TANF case is open, that typically automatically opens a child support case, whether myself as a person want to or not. Like, that's just automatic. Whenever you sign up for those services, or when a person signs up for that cash assistance service, then typically that case has to be open and we have to pursue that case. Now, I can't say that, some don't go unnoticed or a case may not be opened, but in the event that does happen, we can work with that family or with that person to a certain degree to ensure that it's not being a burden to them. Now, if current support, which 9 times out of 10, sometimes that is the case, current support is accruing, we can always change the amount of arrears. That is where we can impact that family and help them to get to a place where if there are arrears owed on the case, then we can work through that. But as far as if there's a cash assistance case that is open, then we do have to pursue that case. In Medicaid, luckily, it's typically not cash or financial based. It's if that person has the children on Medicaid, if they're receiving Medicaid services, then we send a notice or an order to the employer asking the employer to sign them up for healthcare coverage. But that employer may not offer healthcare coverage, or that employee may not be eligible for healthcare, and they'll let us know, and we'll move on from there. And there's no action to be taken at that point. We just check in every 90 days to see if that circumstance has changed. But when it's a cash case, then or a cash assistance case, we must pursue that, or Medicaid or foster care, we must pursue that. So unfortunately, we do have to abide by those rules. But like I said, cash is typically never ordered on if the children are receiving Medicaid, and those are the only circumstances in which we would have to pursue a case. So.
LaShawna, I have a quick question as well. So, is it best to have legal representation if you are pursuing child support from a family member?
You don't have to.
Or
You don't.
what is your experience with that? Just
So
curious how that looks.
It's not necessary, but if you have the means to do so and you think that that's what's best for you, then by all means, I can't tell you not to do that. But typically on our side, you apply for our services and we go from there. It's our task to, read that, go through all of the process, establish that order, get the income of the kinship caregiver, get the income of the parent, whatever we have, income information we have available to us. There's also a time period where you have, that information sent to you, and you can request a hearing if you don't agree. And there's not a time there where, this is just what it is. You do have a time period to say, I think that it should, if it's a $400 order, we'll just say a $400 order, I think it should only be $100. You can go to that hearing and say, I prefer only to collect $100 and, argue yourself there. So there is not necessarily, you don't need legal representation, but if you want it, then by all means, sure, go for it.
So with or without legal representation, once you have that application turned in, I'm assuming online, right?
You can do it online, you can do it over the phone, you can walk it into the office, you can print it out and walk it into the office, you can mail it to us. So there's several different ways you can turn in the application.
So, and then once the application is turned in, what is the timeline for review and then a response back to the family?
Typically, we say 4 to 6 weeks, but most often it's much sooner than that. You'll receive a notice in the mail of the next action that needs to be taken. So whether that is, okay, provide us with your income or any additional information we may need to establish a correct child support order, we will follow up with you via mail on that, typically within 4 to 6 weeks.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for those answers.
In our system, it will flag that as a case that we will have to establish an order for, because the state must be reimbursed to a certain degree, although it's not a cash obligation oftentimes through Medicaid. We will have to establish an order for support for medical, and that's when I was saying earlier, where if the parents are employed, we'll have to send a notice to that employer asking them to sign the children up for healthcare coverage. But depending on the circumstance, the employer may not offer healthcare coverage, or healthcare coverage may not be offered to that employee for whatever reason, or it's the cheapest option that's available to satisfy the requirement of providing healthcare coverage. So yeah, that is something that we do have to pursue, just because the state wants the parents who are supposed to be caring for the child to take on that responsibility.
Okay, I will share just a little bit more information on our ParentLink Kinship Navigator Program website at education.missouri.edu/navigators. If you go to our resources page, we have a section on our individual and family support page that will link you to additional information about the Family Support Division Child Support Program. Or as LaShawna mentioned, you can call our Kin for Kid line at 833 546-4543, and we can get you connected to someone in her office that could help.
Well, thank you all for having me.